Wait a minute. Hold that thought. Before we even get started with this show, I just want to let everybody know, here's your chance to help us out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Oh, it disappeared. Let me pull it back up. How did that disappear? Was it supposed to disappear? Let me go ahead and bring that up to our YouTube channel when you get a chance. We are now over 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube. Please go over now to our YouTube channel. Look up The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Subscribe. Help us get over that hump of 2,000 subscribers. We're also trying to get watch hours. So see all your favorite episodes. Let me scroll down out here. Oh, let me bring that back up. And let me show you what we've got. The show that you're going to be watching in just a few moments there. We also have all of our uploads and exclusive content for the YouTube channel, the Who Knew News, bits of the TARDIS, and we're breaking down some more playlists. So if you just want to watch interviews with our celebrity guests, including Dr. David Brin, Benji Clifford from Big Finish, Ian McNeice, Paul McGann, Sylvester McCoy, you can check it out. You can check out our reviews of Doctor Who itself, which actually we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be reviewing a particular episode and its 25th anniversary. Big Finish reviews, our Game On series, which we're hoping later on we are going to be playing the Doctor Who Worlds Apart game, past live streams, and many more. Check it all out. So don't forget, if you get a chance, do it right now. Subscribe at this moment and go ahead and hit that notification bell as well so you get the latest updates. Now let's start this show. My name is Christian Basil. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a TARDIS. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With web show, this is the legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We have a special episode for you because we're going to split this episode into two. We're going to be reviewing today, at the episode tonight, actually, I should say. We're going to do a special interview. Wow, it's something that kind of night. We had a little technical glitch earlier, but I'm glad you guys stood by and stood with us. But tonight we're going to be reviewing, and I'm going to say this in a little bit. We're going to start a discussion about this. The movie that I thought was called The Enemy Within, celebrating 25 years of the 25th anniversary movie, which actually premiered this month. I forgot, what was it, the 14th that TV movie happened?
The 14th for you, the 12th for me.
Oh, okay.
Was early.
Whatever.
We're just late to the party again.
So, for those of you who are going to be watching, we're going to be reviewing 25 years later the celebration of the TV movie starring at that time an unknown person that I at least didn't know, Paul McGann, the actor who would be playing the Eighth Doctor, Dr. Grace Holloway, played by Daphne Ashbrook, and a very interesting gentleman named Eric Roberts, who would eventually play the Master. It would also had former guest Sylvester McCoy, who played the Seventh Doctor, Yi-Ji Cho, who played Chang Li, and our good friend Jeremy Raddick, who played Gareth for a good 5 seconds. So for a minute or two there. And plus, if you stick with the after party, we're going to be celebrating. Tomorrow will be the 9th year that the Traveling TARDIS has existed. We started off with a Facebook page at this time on May 19th, 2012. And tomorrow, for those of you who are watching live, will be our 9th year anniversary of the Traveling TARDIS, which I do not have. But to celebrate with me and to do the reviews, that was a nap. Hi, folks. Welcome. Welcome all my friends who are going to be helping me review. You know what? I wanted to call it The Enemy Within. I'll explain to everybody this, and I want everybody's take on this. We're going to introduce Dave, Joey, Shirley, and Brian in just a moment. Before this episode premiered, I was tagged in something by a gentleman by the name of Gary Russell, who just happened to be somebody who worked on the TV movie. And this is what he wrote. Gary Russell in the tweet says, I'm going to be saying this a lot today. So the novel is called The TV Movie. The original TV story was called Doctor Who. Enemy Within was just a jokey name Philip Siegel made up when he and I did a convention in Manchester together, and someone asked if it could have a name. And you know what? I'm going with it. I think I'm going to call this episode The Enemy Within. I don't care if it was a jokey thing. You know, some of the weirdest stuff that ever happened in Doctor Who happened like as a mistake or a one-off coincidence. But guys, what do you think about that? We're going to start out. Let me go ahead and introduce the team. Let me start with Dave. How you doing there, Dave? Welcome.
Things are doing great. They're going great. I'm sorry, I have to stop because I get to play Melanie, seeing as how Carl just mentioned it. Where's Melanie? I get to be Melanie right now. I have control of all these comments, and I want to let everybody know, get in on this, because this is great. So Carl has his like in there. If you didn't forget, he already liked the show.
Thank you, Carl.
Carly raised him and has liked it and shared it. I like this contest. Who else wants to get in on this?
Yeah, keep going. Like and share. Keep going. Definitely comment there. Mr. Joey Reynolds, welcome back. You were here last week. How you doing there, Joey, from Geek Radio America?
I am well, thanks. Thank you very much. In fact, prepping for this, if you will, I happened to stumble upon an article from The Independent that I'll put up in the chat room on Facebook. And it asked the musical question, Red, White, and Who, was the American reboot of Doctor Who really that bad?
We're going to be answering that question today there. So just a few moments there. From the Pandorica restaurant in New York. She's back, and she's back open. And I know you've been going through some rough times up there, but how's everything going up there at the Pandorica restaurant up there, Shirley?
Everything is going wonderfully. The sun is out, and so are the people. So we're doing very well. We really are. So I'm glad to be open and full service, and hopefully we'll see a lot of you there.
I'm glad you did okayed out there. How was it going through that time where nobody could go in? I know you also did takeout.
Oh, yeah, we did takeout. We did Grubhub. I mean, it was a little bit slow. And we were, since almost a year, mid-June, we were physically open for inside dining. And the city of Beacon, which was very good, gave us what we call parklets, which are little parking spots outside that we could extend our outdoor dining. We have those back again. So we have plenty of table space for those still concerned about coming inside.
Exactly. And if you get a chance, check it out in Beacon, New York, or if you're in that area, check out the Pandorica restaurant. Every Whovian should trek up there. It's a patronage. It needs to be done. Or what do they call it? Where you
Pilgrimage.
Pilgrimage. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much there. Speaking of pilgrims, boom.
I remember when the Indians tied up our boat. You know what I'm saying, Christian? Don't be messing. Anyway, but no, I'm Brian K. Morris.
How was it when they discovered fire?
Well, you see, first it was this great big light, Christian. Everything was darkness, and then about 6 days later, everything's around. You know what I'm saying? I was just as surprised as the next guy, which was me.
And then the dinosaurs came, but they got too big and fat.
which I got too big and fat, but I'm still here. So there.
Speaking of which, Mr. Brian K. Morris, how you doing? RisingTide.pub and Rising Tide Publications there.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Get your plug.
Yeah, get the power strip out. The plugs are coming. Yes, I'm an independent writer, Facebook famous YouTuber. Please subscribe to the Rising Tide Broadcasting channel, where we have shows like this, never mind the Furthermore, and Clever Tile Pending, where tonight I'll be interviewing former guests of the show, Cindy Koepp.
Oh, and
and then Thursdays we do Comic Book Spectrum at 7 p.m., 6 p.m. Central Time, and I'm privileged to be here. And I've done absolutely no research. We are going to rely on what I laughingly refer to as my memory.
I don't know. I saw some stuff on the YouTube to catch up. I couldn't even find. I still have the VHS somewhere in my house, somewhere roaming around out there. So that tells you how old my taping or the last time I said it there. So let me just get to this topic real fast out there. Gary Russell had mentioned, and I was tagged into this. What do you think? I was just like, I still call it The Enemy Within, even though that is, he's saying that it was always called the Doctor Who TV movie. Anybody else know it as the enemy within, or do you call it the Doctor Who TV movie?
When we got the video press kits, as it were, because I was in the West Palm Beach television market, and a dear friend of mine was the pledged producer for the local PBS station, and they were running Doctor Who just about almost every night of the week. So when he got this, he wanted to put these snippets, if you will, from the press junkets, the pre-tape stuff, up on the air, and in between the breaks. And yes, the words, or the phrase "the enemy within" was mentioned. So I don't refer to it as the enemy within. I just refer to it as the one thing nobody was watching because Darlene was getting married and Roseanne, and Dan had the heart attack.
Oh gosh. That's right.
Yeah,
that's another story for another time out there. So, is it wrong to call it that title? I mean, I call it that because, I guess people wanted to give it a title, wanted to give it a name. I just feel weird calling it the TV movie.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like Doctor Who and the Daleks and the Daleks Invasion of Earth. Those are the movies. This one is an episode. It was on TV, and even though it may have been in its own bubble, because it was filmed in Vancouver and it was being distributed by Fox, I still kind of put it as part of the television series, and to me, it needs a title. Everybody on that.
Well, I mean, the Fox Tuesday night movie was Doctor Who. That's what they called it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And at the same time, looking back at it, hindsight being 2020, this thing was not picked up. It wasn't picked up for series, but yet it was a blessing in disguise, because this was the thing that this is what Russell T Davies learned what not to do when rebooting this series. Because when we see Eccleston pop up, we don't see, we know he's the Doctor, but we don't know what happened to the previous Doctor, if you will. And to bring in, with respect, Sylvester McCoy for that regeneration scene, I know that Phil Siegel his hearts were in the right places, but he was doing more narrowcasting than broadcasting. And when Russell Davies picked up the mantle in 2004, and the show came out in 2005, they were all having jitters because what if the audience doesn't like this? What if they think it's going to be like the 96 TV movie? And but the answer was no. He was broadcasting to a wide audience. He'll always have the fans at hello. But in this case, he knew what he was doing, picking up on I wouldn't say the mistakes, but movie, and a number of things I'll always have a beef about. First off, half human, really, seriously. The Eye of Harmony is in the TARDIS. Eric Roberts.
Yeah, the Eye of Harmony was, if I remember, in The Deadly Assassin, it was running the planet. Now all of a sudden, it was running a TARDIS.
It's in the box, yeah.
So is it kind of like a battery? It's like, okay, you have the tiny batteries for the flashlight, you have a bigger battery for your car, and you have this giant size eye that runs your planet. So that's my headcanon. I just thought the Eye of Harmony was a battery. Yeah. And there were different sizes, but one was actually running a TARDIS that we caught on one of the Matt Smith's episodes there. Yeah. That is eluding me for some odd reason. So sorry if I don't remember that episode. But
No worries.
Gotcha there. Speaking of no worries, folks, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we will be talking more about the enemy within the Fox Tuesday night movie, the first episode of, and unfortunately, kind of teetering the last episode of Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor, as far as the TV series was concerned there. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and become part of the legend.
Bateman.
What's the Bateman?
A novel set in Florida, written by Florida author D.L. Havland. Suspense, mystery, and murder.
Evidence is in the bait.
The Bateman is available at local bookstores and online.
The massive audio Doctor Who Bad Wolf Bluetooth TARDIS speaker. That's all I gotta say, one word. Wow. It looks like it just jumped right off the screen. Here it is in all its Bad Wolf glory. Right here is the on-off switch and the up and down volume. Right here's the speaker. The TARDIS stands about 6 inches From the bottom of the TARDIS all the way up to the top where the light is. Look at the detail. Wow!
Author Cindy Koepp is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Koepp at CKOEPP.com today.
If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook pages, and everybody who's joined us from Wizard World on their Facebook page, as well as our Twitch channel. Yeah, we got a Twitch channel. Don't thank us. Thank our friends at GeekInsider.com. That's GeekInsider.com. Don't forget to subscribe and tell them the legend of the Traveling TARDIS sent you.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.
And welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil, and we are discussing today the movie that would roughly be known, The Enemy Within. This was the first episode of Paul McGann in Doctor Who. It would be his premiere. Also, Eric Roberts as the Master. Carl Witzman says, "Oh, sorry,
same question.
Gotcha." Carl Witzman says, "I meant, is The Enemy Within even descriptive of the movie?" I would say yes. Yeah, I would, unless anybody disagrees. And here's my thought process on this: because of the Master, and the Master was taking over the TARDIS. Yep. And it was a struggle with inside the TARDIS, if that would be the case. So that's where I got The Enemy Within, if that makes sense. Because the Master did take over his TARDIS. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, that's kind of, I understand the origin of it from Gary Russell, but that seems rather weak. That would be like calling Citizen Kane Rosebud's the Sled. Because everything, The Enemy Within took place like towards the end of the film. So It's almost a spoiler. So I always just called it the 1996 Doctor Who TV movie.
Whatever.
Because I've got it version, and because it's accurate.
See, I think The Enemy Within.
I hope that fell someplace very dangerous.
It did.
Where it hurt a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Well, welcome back, everybody. My name is Christian Basil. I'm here with Dave from theradhole.ca. I've got Joey Reynolds from Geek Radio America. I've got Shirley down here over at the Pandorica Restaurant, and I've got Brian K. Morris from RisingTide.pub. So again, 1 to 10. Give us two numbers, and since Joey, you kind of started off a little bit down there, what you thought about it back in 1996, or the first time you've seen it, and what do you think about The Enemy Within today?
Well, looking back at it, for the ballyhoo that it was, and maybe this was just because a number of other things factored into play. The internet was still new. At the same time, the week before, the Fox Tuesday night movie was this ripoff of Twister. It was called Tornado. Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters was in it. It was the highest rated for that season, that film for the Tuesday night movies on Fox. Mm-hmm. And of course, for this to show up, I'm thinking, well, they must have seen the promos. They'll probably stay around and see the show. And then the episode of Roseanne aired against Doctor Who. So I'm thinking, okay, this isn't going to bode too well. And at the same time, I think there was the sixth and the final game of the Stanley Cup. I think it was, or maybe it was like the penultimate game, because it went the full distance. And that was between the Florida Panthers and the Colorado Avalanche. So network TV was pretty busy, and I don't know, at least in terms of how the ratings went. Now, from a critical artistic point of view, A for effort. The fact that they were filming out of Vancouver, pretty much Vancouver was the new Hollywood then. X-Files had a presence. Battlestar Galactica, I think, was filming. I think there's still a number of shows up there in Vancouver that are filming, and but it just didn't have that sense of Britishness that made the show what it was. And I'm also thinking that this was a time when the show was coming back, but it was a little bit too early. And I say it because for the past 5 or 6 years beforehand, the Wilderness Years was underway.
Right.
If we couldn't have the Doctor on TV, then we're going to put him in every other media. We're going to put him in graphic art and comics, in original fiction, in fan-produced audio dramas, shadow puppets, whatever we could do to keep the home fires burning during the wilderness period.
Right.
And in the end result, it again, A for effort. But in terms of how things turned out, I give it a strong C+. And I hate really to say this because I know there's a lot of people who probably busted their butts putting together stuff like this, and they want to make sure that their work is worth it. So, all right, I'll give it a B-.
Okay.
Because I never like getting C pluses myself.
So for out of 1 to 10, we'd say about a 7 or 8. Would that be a safe assumption on there?
Let's say about a 7.5.
7.5. Okay, we're going to split a TARDIS in half there. Yeah. So 7.5. Yeah. So it's almost like they took, which was cool because they took Doctor Who to the next level. When they did the theme song, it wasn't just on the synthesizer. They had a huge piece orchestra doing this. It had the special effects now that was required for it to meet with the stories that they were writing. Now we finally got the special effects, that huge thing, that dome scanner that I call it. I was just like that. Wow. Holy cow. This is something that we're going to be seeing, and really haven't seen it again in the new TARDIS. We just see the monitor that just swings around, which is okay. But I thought that was just a cool special effect that you could see the universe flicking a switch and then it just opens up in the ceiling, and it's like, that is so cool. I want one of those in my bedroom. But it seemed to be like, they were taking a round BBC peg and taking a square American peg and shoving it in the round hole, and it wasn't fitting together as much. So they kind of shaved the corners a little bit to try to fit it in there. But Graham Krause says the best part of it was the TARDIS. Yeah, I arguably do. So I love that it was entering into the steampunk realm. That was so cool. I love instead of having these plastic dials and switches, you had like knobs, and when you would flick over stuff, it was I wanted that.
Wood.
I wanted that little setup. Yeah, wood.
Yeah, actual wood. Yes, wood. Good wood, not thinny, but woody. Yeah, those of a certain age will remember Monty Python. Yeah, but
and don't forget, folks, if you are in the room, please go ahead and chat. We're checking out your chats tonight, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the TV movie. Carl Witzman says, I'd say a 3 back then, maybe a 6 now, getting soft in my old age. So I think we can say for a fact, my low ratings are mostly for the writing. Sorry, but acting was good. I do think acting was good. Effects were good. And Sylvester's performance was very good. Yes. I would say up until the scream. I don't know why. That scream was a little cringy. Speaking of... No, go ahead.
I was going to say my cringe moment was when Sylvester and then Paul were lying on the slab, and it's all...
I like that, though. I kind of like that. Because Sylvester did that thing with his face. Like,
it's like, okay, we're going to film your practice run, Sly. That was one of the things that knocked it down a peg or two for me.
The silly putty effect was big back then.
Well, it would have been great if they'd had. I think I could have stood it better if it was like some sort of like mixer sort of thing, like some sort of electronic effect. But to just the idea that maybe this was Sylvester's commentary on the script or whatever, that he's like,
thanks, Terry.
Just one step shy of his gag reflex kicking in. So,
Dave, can you bring up Dan Holofield's
Yes.
comment there. The most recent. Dan Hollyfield says another interpretation might be the Doctor's struggle against regeneration. I guess he's going back to the enemy within, amnesia, in order to reassert his identity in a new body. If you accept that, it can also apply to the Master as well. I would, and I would also apply that the enemy within was when he was taking the Master to Gallifrey, supposedly his remains of whatever that snake thingy was there. Speaking of wood, Brian, rate the TV movie for us.
I would. I remember greeting that TV movie. I mean, Fox did a great job of hyping it, I thought. Everybody should have known that Doctor Who was going to be on that Tuesday. But I kind of looked at it at the time when I was much younger. Filmation did a series of DC Comics characters for Saturday morning, like Superman, Superboy, Aquaman, Teen Titans, it's an Aquaman, etc. And that was pretty good stuff because a lot of those episodes were written by people that were actually writing the comics, so it was pretty consistent. However, hey Melanie, mwah. And but then you had Super Friends.
No.
And it's like you're sitting there, and I'm at the tall end of the demographic for that sort of thing, and it's like these stories are puerile, but it's the only superhero stuff we're getting. So so you sit through it. So initially, I was kind of like sitting through it and thinking, if you really examine this script under the microscope, it's not going to hold up really well. But again, I agree that the acting was top notch, and that last look of McGann just before he steps into the TARDIS, where it's that look of bemusement and ancient wisdom combined. And I'm like, this is the guy. This is the Doctor. And I kind of cringed at the, I'm half human on my mother's side thing too. But all in all, I think I was just fanboying so much I could overlook a lot of this. So I'm thinking my initial review would be a 7. And again, like Carl said, mostly for the script. But when people ask me where to start Doctor Who, I tell them they say, how far back can I go? And I say, start with the 96 movie. Because that is definitely thematically a bridge between the classic Who to me and what Russell T Davies did with a more contemporary sense of storytelling for television. Now, as I look at it, I give that movie an 8.5, mostly because of the acting of Paul McGann, who was so dead on, and a fresh interpretation of the Doctor who was... just everything was just so amazing. It's like he was rediscovering life all over again. And, it still gets a few knocks for the script. And Will Arnett, who was like in every program on Fox at the time, I think it's aged well for me, at least. I really appreciate it more, especially with what it was trying to do.
Okay. And so, I guess you, as far as Joey and Brian are concerned right now, I'll throw this in there. The script was a little bit hard to swallow, especially when it came to scenes like I'm half human on my mother's side. When I heard that, I was like, does anybody watch Doctor Who wrote this? I just like, why is this even a mention? Why is this a thing? But weirdly enough, the one that I think is the funniest, I don't know if you've ever heard of Relative Dimensions in The Big Finish. The bats in the TARDIS. They actually explain that in that episode, why he's got bats in his TARDIS. So he just like open it. It would look like a cathedral scene when they open up the Eye of Harmony area, and there's all these bats flying around, just like the heck. And they actually made a story out of it in one of the Big Finish items with Carol Ann Ford, who plays Susan, who reprises a role. But I was just like, oh my god! But I almost think it's weird. Can Doctor Who have happy accidents? Because people are looking at the timeless children from the accident of Brain of Morbius. But I digress. We're going to be Go ahead. Sir.
I've got one for you.
Sure.
In the Matt Smith episode, the two-parter with the first one with the Silurians, and he's put in that machine, and it's killing like his antibodies and stuff, and he yells out, stop it! I need, you're killing half of what I need to survive. And I'm thinking, aha, his mother's half. And I was waiting for an explanation. I never got it.
Carl Witzman says I could have had written a better script after an independence ranking. Oh God! and Carl's and Dan says I have. Okay, well, on that note, we'll be back. We're going to continue our discussion about the. You know what? I'm going to say it. I don't care. Unless I'm going to say this out there. I'm going to make a call. Gary or Joel, if you don't like the fact that I'm calling it the enemy within, first of all, it's your fault, Joel. So you started this. So if anybody's got the blame, it's you. But if you don't like it, calling the enemy within, come on the show. We'll talk about it. How's that for a challenge there? When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and become part of the legend.
Meet the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
But not the one you were expecting.
All right, sexy. It's time to go home.
Doctor Who Velocity. Streaming now.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Alien invaders enslave Earth,
unleashing hunters into the ruined wastes.
One young survivor struggles to elude their monsters, clinging to hope.
When he's stolen off the planet by a sarcastic starship AI, they pit their uneasy alliance against a treacherous galaxy.
Explore a whole new verse of barbarism and betrayal.
Wonder and adventure.
In the Scion series
by Michael J. Allen.
Beginning with Book 1, Scion Conquered Earth.
Available in print, ebook, and audio on Amazon.com.
I love that commercial. Doctor Who Worlds Apart. That's Doctor Who-worldsapart.com out there. Let me just say this. Nisha, I might have gotten another pack, a very special pack, and I'm hoping that when we open that pack, I'm going to have a little bit of a great reveal. 7 out of 10 legendaries. That's Dave. That's just not fair there. Speaking of Nisha, she just wrote me something I just want to relay to everybody, all of our friends out there. Nisha says, hello, friends. Last Friday, we launched our Mental Health Awareness Month series. Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and after we'll begin a fandom-specific focus series featuring guest speakers. For example, fleshing out story arcs and struggles in Doctor Who, Hamilton, Les Mis. Oh, that was a jump. Rent, Batman, and then the animated series, a book series like The Hunger Games, or even more RPG, and so much more. We would really appreciate your attending, participating, and sharing as much as you can on your media sites. I'm attaching. Oh, that's for me. That's for me. And I'm getting a little bit of an echo, but that's cool there. So check it out. Please go over to, when you get a chance, to Diversely Geek. I'm sure she's going to have more information on her Facebook page. Welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil. I'm with our friends here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. David from the redhole.ca/who. Joey Reynolds at Geek America Radio. Shirley, who's got the Pandorica restaurant in Beacon, New York. If you're up there, you better be going and checking this place out. She's got fish fingers and custard. Seriously, she's got it out there. And Mr. Brian K. Morris of the Rising Tide.pub, Rising Tide Publications, and their channel, including, I'm going to forget some people, so I'm sorry, Amy Hale as creative as Hale. We've got author Michaela Jade. You got Tabe Davies. We got Mr. Carl Witzman when they're doing their cigars, and Ted talks about his watches when he does a TED Talk, and many more, which for whatever my brain will not continue to function over there. But we got a lot of people out there. And if you want to join us in the chat with Team TARDIS celebrating the 25th anniversary of Paul McGann in his TV role. Next up, Shirley. Oh, wait a minute, what we got here? The 1996. No, cover that up. There you go, Shirley. Shirley, from when you saw it in 1996, give us a rating. When you think about it today, give us a rating. What do you think?
When I first heard that it was going to be on, I was extremely excited for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, it's Doctor Who.
Right.
Secondly, as a young lady with a crush on Eric Roberts, I was delighted to see that he was going to be in the movie. Campy, which is how he often plays those kinds of roles. There are people complaining that he was too big of a star to be in the show, but I think he played it well. Aside from that, I thought the story was a little absurd, to say the least, but you've had worse. There have been worse ones in Doctor Who, and it was exciting that it was back on, and I felt it was a door that was opening. So I was excited about it. There had been, very little activity since the late 80s. So this was needed. So I would say for back then, I would give it probably a 7.5.
Okay. And now what would you rate it today?
It's gone down.
Oh, okay. This is different. Okay.
I'm the opposite. It's gone down because this is the era of nitpicking. And
okay, that's fair.
There is so much there to nitpick. I'm not going to go into all the details because I don't want to spoil it for everyone else. But it's down to like not too far down, like a 5.5.
Okay, so why the drop? This is an interesting one because the gentleman went up. You went
There's
down.
a drop because, first of all, the half human. Secondly, there was I don't know. It just left me feeling very disappointed. I didn't like. Again, I'm old school. Didn't like the romance between the Doctor and his companion, this time Grace, if you want to call her companion or not. I thought some of it was really ridiculous as far as being in the operating room without masks on, all that kind of stuff.
Today that wouldn't even fly.
Cover up. I mean, all the little details like that.
Gotcha. Okay, so it went down because there were some, when going back into retrospect, it was kind of being nitpicky. Now, you said you were very happy with the Eric Roberts master. Now, when I first heard it, it was like a pill I couldn't swallow at the time because, first of all, he's American. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, he's American now, and
that makes no sense.
But in my world, he was always British because you had all the British actors. You had Jeffrey Beavers, you had Anthony Ainley, Roger Delgado. Everybody who's played it is always British. I'm not saying it didn't work. And today, my rating of him jumps. We did an episode, I think, about a week or two ago, just on specifically Eric Roberts and how, the conditions were. When I first heard the name, and remember, this is 1996. I'm like, take 20 years, gosh, really? Take about 25 years off my life and go back in time because I grew up with Tom Baker and it was Anthony Ainley as the Doctor, and he always ran that role. And I knew a little bit about Roger Delgado, but had not really as much of Anthony Ainley because he just took that role and kept going. But to see Eric Roberts, now that I look at the campiness, he really took it up. But when I see Eric Roberts, I think of movies like Star 80, just really bizarre. So for him as a movie actor to come down and take a step down and go into a TV role, I just could not conceive it. It just couldn't process in my mind there. But you think he's done a better job over time. So what do you think about my thought process on that?
I think you're right. I mean, Eric Roberts is known for taking any role that comes along. He's done hundreds of movies and TV appearances just because he can. People will offer it to him. He usually doesn't say no. So I think that Fox was wise to get a big star. That's what they were told they needed a big star. Now, Eric Roberts, not necessarily who you would imagine, as you said, being an American. But if the Doctor can be anything, then why not an American? I mean, that's why it didn't make sense to me. Why does the Doctor have to have a British accent?
It's the same thing with just me for being like James Bond. It's always this guy. He's always, muscle, macho, spy thriller. But
aren't they the same person?
What's that?
The Doctor and James Bond, aren't they technically the same person?
No, they're British.
So I do hear that the Doctor on his adventures does become James Bond, and that's why the change of faces all the time.
Well, then one of them became Rassilon, became the president of Gallifrey. So go figure on that one.
Well, where has he seen this face before? That's all.
Yeah, that's okay. I get it. I get it there. Dave, you're up next, my friend.
Am I? I don't know.
Zoom.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. So, there.
I'm the baby of this particular panel. So I did not see it when it first came out.
Right.
First time I saw it was actually not that many years ago. But I was doing film stuff at the time. And since Joey mentioned it, Calgary was kind of at its peak for film, and Vancouver was just kind of going up. So it was an interesting time right there for film in Western Canada. But I thought, first of all, that it was good. I enjoyed it the first time, knowing what that era of television was. So I would give it an 8 the first time I saw it. Again, keep in mind, that's only a couple of years ago. So now hasn't changed that much because of the narrow timeline. But I've been on a lot of the episodes we've done talking about it. Mm-hmm. So I've had the chance to kind of dig deeper into things, listen to a lot of Paul McGann's 8th Doctor audio dramas, listen to Eric Roberts' new Master with Big Finish audio. So I've kind of dug into that sort of stuff, and I've gotten a better appreciation for it. Even the bad writing in some cases isn't really that bad story-wise. Like, there's a few points. There's like the mother, half human bit. Did he mean that? Was that a joke that was just poorly directed? Right? There's some parts like that, but overall.
Yeah, which is my headcanon on that he was just goofing around, but people were like, no, he meant that for real. I'm like, I think he was just joking.
But then people are also going with the title, so...
Well, no, remember there's a scene in The Eye of Harmony where the Master confirms, the Doctor's half human, I see his eye, no wonder. And that was it. We never heard about that again. It was kind of like an unexploded continuity that we could not go into this sphere anymore. Like we've gone as far as we can with this, and we're not going to go any further. And if I'm not mistaken, Joey, I think somewhere in the Virgin novels, they actually explain the half human thing. I could be wrong about that. I think the novels actually explained it. I don't know. If anybody knows, please throw it in the chat.
So.
Didn't when they were talking, when Capaldi was talking about the hybrid, there was a lot of supposition that the hybrid was him because he was Gallifreyan and half human. So,
well, they were saying that the hybrid was possibly Gallifreyan and half human to become the best warrior. Gallifreyan, but they also threw in it was Gallifreyan and half Dalek and all
at the end
weird stuff.
Of the season, I think it was the end of the episode. I'm not sure. I don't remember if it was the end of the season. He said the hybrid is me. And the thing was, did it mean it was him, half human, half Gallifreyan, or was it me as in Ashilda, who was also a hybrid?
That was just, I think, Moffat playing the game where he was like showing how incredibly great he was going to leave. So I'm going to pull back somehow this little story of half human into the new series, and I'm just not going to let this die. I think he was having some fun with it, but I
agree.
I know we're coming up against a break, but I want to throw this out there. Leela, a warrior of the 17 tribe, a descendant of humans, at the end of the deadly, no, not the deadly assassin, the Invasion of Time, decides to stay on Gallifrey, and she's fallen in love with I forgot his name, but he was the head of the Chancellery Guard.
Oh, you're gonna make me look.
I think we can all go on Wikipedia anytime we want, but the Andred, I think it's Andred.
I think you're close. I think you're in.
Andred, I think you're right.
And wouldn't it be interesting if, and of course, time is the Doctor's time is different from Gallifrey's time. So wouldn't it be interesting if he had his mother as a companion, taught her from being a savage to being that Eliza Doolittle, prim and proper, if you will, but still, pretty dangerous with a knife. And that would be the Doctor's parents that we just saw. And that could easily explain half human. Don't know. Just an idea I'm throwing out there.
Let me just say hello to Michael Palvado. I still love the TV movie as much as I did when it first aired. High nostalgia factor for me. And we want to say hello to Teresa Dunn. Yeah, hello there. Teresa says hello to Brian K. Morris.
Hi there.
Separately, Michael also continues, says, half human didn't bother me. Certainly explain why he was always hanging around Earth. I'm still think it was a joke. I'm always thinking that he was Gallifreyan because he always seemed to come around. But I think it's kind of like, I live on planet Earth, but I like to hang out at Walt Disney World. And I know that's not real. I know that's imaginary, but that's the way I kind of put it with that's why he loved Earth, because one of the things I've always thought about the Time Lords is they love to watch. They're stalkers. They're the stalkers of the universe out there. And I think he just... Go ahead, Dave. No, go ahead, Dave. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
Nope. Not even going there. Just nope. Nope.
Not mixed company. Not in mixed company.
I'm out. I'm out.
Speaking of stalkers, when we return, we're going to finish up this discussion, and then head into the after party for the 9 years of the Traveling TARDIS. When we return, please continue to stay logged on to it and become part of the legend.
Experience Samara's adventure as she imagines the people around her change into friendly cartoon animals right before her eyes. Journey with her in this poetic tale, My Cartoon Imagination at School.
Now on Amazon.com, iCoin from author Jeremy Mosby. It's an alternate reality, and the leader of the planet iCoin is none other than Benjamin Franklin. When corrupt officials threaten not only iCoin but the Earth as well, an unlikely chosen one, Jeremy, must face dark foes to save the Earth and iCoin alike. Author Jeremy Mosby takes readers on a superhero's adventure through this compelling and imaginative alternate universe. Get iCoin on Amazon.com today.
Oh, brilliant! It's hard to believe that in the 56-year history of the greatest sci-fi television show in the English language, there has never been a fan guide to Doctor Who. The official books might give you what they think you need to know, but only a guide written by a true fan will give you what you really want to know. Join Whovian, the brilliant Mackenzie Flaw, as she takes you on an intensive journey inside the world of the first female Doctor. In the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who, Season 11. Right, let's get a shift on.
This is Cosplay Michael with the Hanging Earth Love Show. I want to tell you about my friends at Embellis Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellis Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellis Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embelliseffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
And if you saw the commercial earlier from our friends at Amazon.com /FameTek, if you want cool electronic stuff, I wish I had it. Maybe I'll get it a little bit later, but I do have the TARDIS speaker. And later on, I think I got another package we'll be unraveling, which will hopefully be the Weeping Angels charger for your cell phones out there. So check them out. Amazon.com, FameTek. They've not only got stuff for Doctor Who, but they've got stuff for other geekdom and for electronic purposes that you need. Check out Amazon.com/FameTek. Thank you for returning to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil. Welcome back. We're going to wrap up our discussion about the TV movie, The Enemy Within. I don't care. I don't care anymore. It's the enemy within out there. So we did. Shut up, Brian. So Dan Holyfield says, Dave, I can read your mind. You made the right decision. Oh no, we're going to spend the next 10 minutes. I'm going to wait until Dave says what it has out there. But
not on Wizard World.
Not on Wizard.
No. Nope.
Good thinking, Dave.
It's just, well, I always see them as watchers, and I think when the Doctor was a kid and he was watching the universe, I think he particularly was looking at Earth and checking out the cool stuff that was going on down there. So I think that was his fascination. That's my headcanon around why he loves Earth so much, because of what was going on down there. Whether that he's half human, whether that was a joke, that's the way that I've seen things out there. So, I mean, were there any... And I'll open this question up for everybody. Let's just say there is no 1996 movie. We are still in the wilderness years going into 2021. And this new episode of Doctor Who, so we're saying, what, 25 plus years? 96. We're saying, what, about 30, 31, 32 years.
About 32 years.
32 years, no Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Today it's May 18th, 2021, and we're going to have this new show called Doctor Who on the Fox network, or whatever the streaming app is, or whatever it is. And we have this new guy called Paul McGann, and the Master is being played by Eric Roberts, and the rest of the cast as well, in order. Do you think that the TV movie would survive today's audience? Do you think it would have done better or worse than 1996?
Is it the same script?
Yes, everything's the same. All I did was I canceled Doctor Who up until today, and I brought the TV movie here at this time. It's premiering today. Everything.
Why are we going into the future of 2020 years ago? That's what I got to ask.
No, I just wanted to see if the TV movie would work if it premiered today. Would that same script, would that same movie, or do you think we would go back into another wilderness time before this?
That would never. It couldn't fly now as it stands. Could that cast go through and fly now? Definitely. Look at Night of the Doctor. Mm-hmm. Like, look at that. Just in that 10 minutes, there is so much crushed in there, and yet. The script of the movie? No, definitely not.
So the TV movie would not work. I think but I think the whole reason Night of the Doctor worked was A, the TV movie, B, all the big finish, and C, we didn't have a Paul McGann series, which everybody from my generation was begging for.
He looks so much better.
He
looks so much nicer there than he did with the wig
the
and this
wig.
Everything. Like
Well, Bill Hickok.
Right? He looked kind of goofy, and he get it. It's the 90s, but I mean, the new him looks so much nicer.
Yes.
I mean, as far as that, like, just a more realistic Doctor. This is a Doctor of 2020.
Yeah.
That was a Doctor of 1996.
But you see, I think time has given it the duration it needs, because when we look at the 1996 Doctor, he's got the moppy hair, he's all dressed up and everything. Flash forward to our current 8th Doctor, he's getting ready for the Time War. He's gone through a lot of hell. He's fighting off the Daleks. He's gone through Dark Eyes. He's gone through Ravenous. So, I mean, he's just going through a lot of crap. So it feels like that romanticism that I've always admired because of the 8th Doctor is slowly being drained out of him, because time is just catching up to him. And the 8th Doctor is taking a challenge that is more impactful to his soul than what it was when he first started there. Jody McPhee, I am too much of a noob to have an opinion on that question. Well, Jody, Hey, man, welcome. Thank you for joining us out there. What was Brian? What show does he run? Jody, is that
from the desk of the Small Press
From the
Publisher,
desk-
Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern.
From the desk of from the desk of a small publisher. Check it out on the YouTube. Subscribe to Joe D. McPhee, of course, out there. But okay, so the TV movie would not have worked in the present day. Would you accept? Let's say we skipped the TV movie and we brought Paul McGann, and he is now the 8th Doctor instead of Eccleston playing the 9th Doctor. We bring Paul McGann, and he's there with Rose. How do you think the series would go from this point on? Do you think it would be a success, or do you think it would be a problem? I'm just going in what if channels. So instead of Christopher Eccleston, we have Paul McGann, and he is the 8th Doctor, and he's with Rose. He's going to eventually end up with Martha, with Adam. How do you think that series would run, or would it?
I think it would run longer. I do. I love Eccleston. I thought he was brilliant. But Paul McGann, I don't know. He typified the Doctor. Even in the movie, he was exceptionally good. I think he could have carried the show for 3 or 4 years. I think he might have been a little busy. He was doing another show at the time, I believe. Captain Horatio Hornblower series, I believe he was doing. But yeah, no, I think everyone would have loved him. He fit right in.
Starting the Michael continues. He says starting the new series with Paul McGann would have been amazing.
Yeah,
it's nothing against. Do you think that relationship between Rose and 8 would have worked out as well, and Mickey and all?
I think it would have been a different relationship, especially because this, 8th Doctor did have that unfortunate romantic undertones there that Rose kind of pushed for a bit. So that could have tweaked things, but would she have also fallen for that version of the Doctor by comparison? So I think it would be a great series. Do I think it could replace Eccleston?
It's kind of hard to.
They both had very, very, very unique dynamics.
One thing that's always bothered me with respects to John Hurt, may his memory be a blessing. He just went great guns on the day of the Doctor, but why didn't Stephen Moffat just think that, okay, if Eccleston got first right of refusal and he said no, thank you, I've had my time, why not go back to McGann?
I've always advocated that it should have been a summer series. Like when Doctor Who came on for its series, let's say it ran through the winter, ran through like October to December. I think McGann should have picked up from like June to August or July to September. He should have been like a summer run so that he would we would get our Doctor Who. And I think this would have been an amazing thing, because where in the world would you have a series about the same character in 2 different time frames running at the same time? What I would think would have been cooler is if something happened in Paul McGann's time, in the 8th Doctor's time, that somehow influenced future Doctor. So there was an episode that would have taken place like in the 4th or 5th episode of the 3rd series that would eventually make its way to the 10th Doctor in his 5th series. The same way that we look back at, The Face of Evil, where the Doctor looks back and sees, oops, I messed up. I really screwed this up. The 17 tribe, Leela, everything is due to me. Wouldn't that be cool if the 8th Doctor did something and then it gets to the 10th Doctor and oops.
And the calculations, the calculations on a sonic screwdriver, in order to get where they had to get to get, spoiler alert, Gallifrey into that Penn universe to escape it from the Daleks. I thought it was a missed opportunity. I didn't know if Moffat had wanted to get a big name and he just didn't really think the matter through. Again, Sir John Hurt, magnificent in the role, but I wish they would have given Paul McGann that opportunity, not to do that as just a one-off to have a regeneration, but to have him come back and then have him have his innings and then afterwards kind of regenerate into the 9th form. But that's just me and my decrepit soapbox.
So you're thinking maybe the 8th Doctor should have pushed the button?
I'm thinking that with all he went through in the Big Finish adventures regarding the Time War, yeah, because I was seeing all this happening when I saw Rose and I saw the Ninth Doctor. I'm thinking, okay, well, he's a Ninth Doctor who's performed the Eighth Doctor, so all this is going to be fleshed out in these Big Finish adventures. And then when it gets to that point where, we're seeing, the end of the episode before, I think it was called the Night of the Doctor. We don't see Paul McGann being revealed as the one that the Doctor reviles as the Doctor of War. It's John Hurt. So I think that there was again, with respect to John Hurst, I think there was a tremendous opportunity missed. I might be wrong.
No, that's right. Dan is saying, I wouldn't want to replace Chris. If you're doing a what if, then have Paul start the new show, have his run the cast Chris, and if we're lucky, Chris would have done 3 or 4 seasons. What I'm doing, Dan, is basically taking, because the TV movie was the bridge between classic and new. What if it kind of boxed up with New Who? So that's what I'm trying to see is if Paul McGann was the 8th Doctor during the 2005, what would it have looked like? Where would it have gone? If there was no TV movie, if he actually had a chance and had funding like the BBC and the CGI and all that with the big moppy hair that he had at that time there. Speaking of big moppy hair, folks, we're at the end of the show. For those of you who are going to be staying for the after party, thank you for joining us. Please stick around. We're going to stick around for a little half hour, but I know Mr. Brian K. Morris has to go. So please let them know where you're going to be after the show so that they can follow you.
Well, definitely stay for the after show. Yeah, please. All my stalkers, thank you for being here tonight. But definitely stick around for the after show because it's going to be a party. And anyway, after the show at the top of the hour, we're going to be doing Clever Title Pending on the Rising Tide Broadcasting Network, where we talk to creatives about creativity and the business behind it. And tonight we're going to have a novelist and first-time comic book writer and crowdfunder Cindy Koepp, who has been on this program before. We're going to be talking to her about having a almost successful crowdfunding and what it was like to write her first comic book script based on her latest book. But you can follow me mostly on Facebook. I have my own YouTube channel. I broadcast about 400 hours a week, it seems like sometimes.
He does.
I do. I've gone from who's he to, oh God, it's him again. But anyway, please follow us. Please like, subscribe, and share after you do so with the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Then it's okay. Because every time you subscribe to both of our shows, an angel, a weeping angel, gets its wings.
That's probably gonna make them go away. Brian, do me a favor, write out the show into the after party as usual.
All right. I'd be glad to, and it is my honor, folks. As always, thank you for watching The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We hope you'll tune in next week for another amazing show with Christian and the whole gang. But as always, folks, remember, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Have a great evening, everyone.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the next half hour of our big party, which is just going to be about 5 or 4 of us now. But I want to wish the Traveling TARDIS, who could not be here because he's being cleaned. He's actually, he's getting ready because, and I'll make the announcement tonight over there. I want to wish a happy birthday to the Traveling TARDIS, who turns 9 tomorrow. 9 years of the Traveling TARDIS out there, which became a convention icon. Yep, he's being cleaned. Trust me, because we were getting ready. I'll go ahead and make the announcement now. Let me go ahead and do this.
Clean.
Let me stop screen there. Let me add this. And boom. There we go. We don't have one convention. We don't have 2 conventions. We don't have 3 conventions. We don't have 4 conventions. We have 5 conventions that we are planning that are starting the run next month out there. I'll read them out to you. First of all, for those of you who are in the Southeast region of the United States or around Central Florida, the Traveling TARDIS will return in the first brick-and-mortar convention, and we're happy to see Central Florida Comic-Con, June 12th to the 13th. It'll also be returning. No, not returning. This will actually be the first convention that we've done this at. It's the first convention called Biblicon, Unleash Your Darker Side. And that will be taking place Saturday, June 26th at noon. And Jessica Womack, if you remember her from Song Swan Cosplay on Instagram, she will be hosting a panel over there as well as taking pictures with the Traveling TARDIS. Another one that we've got coming up is July 30th to August 1st. The Traveling TARDIS now returns to Tampa Bay Comic-Con. I'm very excited about that one, seeing our friends on the west side. That will be taking place again July 30th through August 1st. All of this, if you go to the events page on the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS on our Facebook page, which is cleared to 52,000 and it's slowly crawling up to 53. The next one will be the Traveling TARDIS returns to MegaCon Orlando. Yep, August 12th to the 15th at the Orange County Convention Center. Me and a team of wonderful panelists will be there hosting panels. We have confirmed all 4 of these conventions. I did say 5, so there isn't one had been made yet because we're still working out the logistics, but we have confirmed our friends at SD Who, better known as San Diego Who Convention. Yep, in the other side of the world, in the West Coast. We will be, hopefully, if we can get there, either that or we'll probably be there virtually in October. So that will be 5 conventions we'll be at confirmed, and a few more are going to be lining up right there. So we're really proud to be announcing 5 conventions as we come back from lockdown, that we're doing all of this. I'm really excited about the conventions. I know, Brian, you've been doing conventions, right? How has it been out there?
I've gotten one under my belt this year in Hannibal, Missouri. Big shout out to Big River Comic Con. And if you have problems with crowds, this was not the place to be. We had incredible attendance, a really receptive group of people coming in through the front door, just hungry to be out, not just to be out and see other humans, but to indulge their hobby and their wants. That was really nice to be a part of that. And convention season's slowly opening up for me too. We've got a date in Peoria, Illinois, a week from this coming Saturday at the Indie Author Book Expo with a number of people, some of whom have been on this show, like Amy Hale, and also, friends of ours like Michaela Jade and Kathy Jackson and T.L. Shively, and just a whole bunch of really fun people that are going to be having a groovy time at the Peoria Civic Center. # always promote.
Now I'm just letting you know, because of certain safety procedures, until things have changed, this is actually what's going to be happening with the Traveling TARDIS. Should you make contact with the Traveling TARDIS, the first thing you're going to have to do is sanitize your hands. First of all, you will not be able to touch the TARDIS until you sanitize. We will have a team of our team TARDIS team will have wipes each and every time that anybody, before they make contact, they will be wiping down the TARDIS over and over. That's going to be the cleanest object in any convention that I can think of going anywhere, which is really kind of a scary thought. They'll be having gloves. We're going to give them the protection. I think one of the rules that we're going to be coming up, simply enough, can't hold the TARDIS towards your face. So if you're going to hold the TARDIS, you're going to have to hold it within kind of a proximity. Can't kiss the TARDIS anymore or anything, at least for right now. So if you want to get a picture of the TARDIS, it actually has to be a certain distance away. Once you return the TARDIS, you sanitize again. We wipe down the TARDIS. We'll be having gloves when we hold the TARDIS. We're literally going to treat this like radiation, pellets. We really are going to be very protective about that, because we want to make sure not only is our staff safe when they are presenting with the TARDIS and having a good time, we want to make sure everybody out there who wants to be part of the legend, get their picture with it, or we take the picture of them. We want you to be safe as well as the staff out there at the conventions. So this has been a very excellent birthday Yeah, sanitation experts. Yeah, pretty much. This thing. Yeah, I'm like, I was. Well, we had this planned out in 2020 before TBCC went into cancellation, and I actually had a sign that says the procedures on how to handle the TARDIS, and I was just like sitting there. I was like, my God, this is just a piece of metal, and I'm treating it like it's a contagion. I'm treating it like it's cooties. And that was something I just could not conceive, in 2019 or before that. So happy birthday, Traveling TARDIS. Thank you for everyone who supported us, and you'll be seeing us out there again very shortly. The first convention will be starting next month out there. So, so does anybody have any memories of the TARDIS? I know, Joey, you've seen it before. You've seen it before, right? You've been out there on the TARDIS.
Me, I can't say in this particular incarnation, as it were. In fact, I think the past 5.5 years I've been up in southwestern PA in Pittsburgh. I don't know if I had the chance to actually meet with you at least a couple of times personally.
Yeah.
Through a mutual acquaintance of ours, for which we will not speak of at the moment. But wherever he is, I hope he's happy and healthy and whole.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't had the chance to touch the thing yet.
Really?
Yeah.
I hated the way you said that. That kind of scared me. Just
I know, right. Well, hey, from someone who likes to watch, what can I say? But
there you
go.
Worst thing is I had something very similar coming up that I was just biting back just before he said it. So
it's quite all right. I'll take the blame. No, but the fact that you're able to do these things and still go around to conventions, and now that we're coming back with a vengeance, and Brian, you're absolutely correct. And the fans, I kind of blurred out chopping at the bit because unlike me, who's been practicing self-isolation for decades, this is old hat the past year.
Yeah.
But the thing, and I'm not, I enjoy going to conventions, but I don't go on a regular basis, and I have to wear comfortable shoes, and I have to just make sure that, and again, conventions, huge conventions, are a petri dish. So I'd like to see how this is going to happen over the course of the next 6 months. In particular, if people are vaccinated, will they get the con crud, or will they not? And I don't want to take it into that angle, but of course, but then again, we just heard like a 5-minute video here on basically how not to touch the TARDIS and the Lysol wipes and all that, which reminds me of just another Saturday night at the movies. But yeah, this should be interesting to see how the fans are reluctant to come out. Are they going to be reluctant, or are they going to come out in full force and damn the torpedoes full speed ahead? That should be interesting.
Well, that's a good question. Does anybody? Shirley, you opened the restaurant and such. Are you going to be running back out there and going to conventions and stuff?
Well, I will. I'm going to be going to Long Island Who this fall.
Yay!
So they're going to be back on. I think it's November 22nd. I'm not sure, but you can find it on their page. But I had an event on Saturday. I had a whodunit murder mystery. And it was a vaxxed event, so the staff is vaccinated, the team of actors were vaccinated, and the guests had to show proof of vaccination before they could come in. Yeah. We had a full house. We were totally sold out. So yes, people are willing, and it was a mix of middle-aged and older. So people of all ages are definitely accepting being responsible, getting vaccinations, taking care of the situation that they're in, if they're taking the precautions, and that's what counts. And they're willing to go out and get back to living. Absolutely. Yeah. I think you're going to see a surge, of good things, not of, I don't mean that didn't come out well. But you're going to see a surge of people coming out now.
Right. We had something similar where and Miami kind of regretted it, where we had spring break down in Miami. And which was funny is because from what I heard in the news, a lot of the people were unfortunately arrested. None of them were Floridians. They were from another state. They were either from Michigan or New York or California or some place of that nature. Just like, yeah, because these people have been locked down. And, I'm not trying to compare politics or anything of that nature. I'm just trying to say they're people that, when you constrain them for too long, they need to break out. And some of the things I've mentioned on this show, we always talk about the COVID disease on the outside, but we never tell much about the disease, what it does on the inside: anxiety, domestic abuse, drug intake. I mean, I mentioned that I saw it on a Facebook page, and I wish I'm not going to say a name or anything, but I watched a father type in on his Facebook newsfeed that his son had passed because he couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah,
things like this, and it's like we never get that mention in there. So once we finally get free of things, one of my worries is that in conventions, before this all closed down, we were so affectionate. We were dancing with each other. We were hugging. We were kissing. We were doing, things that, we wanted to. And we're like, what my concern is, when I first go to that first convention, somebody wants to give me a hug. Am I going to be like, no, or am I going to be, am I going to be receptive to him? Am I going to be okay with it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, and it's bad enough that the free hugs guy was creepy enough before all this happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It might depend
the other
on
side
the
is
rules of the convention. It depends. They could be also vaccination, positive. If you've been vaccinated, you can enter. I would think that most Whovians are savvy enough, tech savvy enough to know that, and science savvy enough to know and have their vaccinations. I would say it's a larger population that will be having their vaccinations. So I think it would be pretty safe. And the issue, if you've had your vaccination, isn't you getting sick, it's going to be the other person. So it as much as one will feel responsible, it is it's good knowing that we ourselves are not going to get too ill, even if we do get ill.
I don't want to get ill at all.
The other part of that question isn't even necessarily us as vendors or us as people just attending. You've got all of the celebrities,
right?
Who already, some of those people have issues with that, where nope, I won't even shake your hand. Yes, I'll give you a fist bump.
Yeah,
or worse. I work closely with a lot of the media guests at some of the conventions up here, and that's going to be very, very interesting and different.
Yeah,
I'm worried.
Yeah, and will the media guests make it a point to board a plane for 8 hours across the pond and make another transfer and go into that realm of germs, as it were? And yes, everybody's going to make every point to, but still, it's just, who wants to go out and do that when we know that, granted, we've hit some plateaus here, if you will. Things are reducing and things are increasing in vaccinations. Things are reducing in terms of cases. But I mean, does anybody really want to take a chance and poke that bear yet? It's far from being all over, though. It is.
And can you?
Yeah,
because we have to. You come to Canada on a plane, you have to isolate for 3 days guaranteed. You're probably going to have to do for a couple of weeks. In a lot of places.
Yeah.
If you're some of these convention guests will jump from country to country to country. Christopher Eccleston was supposed to come, fly over from England, land, hit the convention, hit MegaCon, and then he was coming up to Calgary the following week. Yeah. That sort of thing's not going to be legally feasible necessarily.
No,
I had Paul McGann last year, was supposed to come on April 6th. We had an event with him, Tea with the Doctor, at the restaurant, and April 6th, unfortunately, was right at the beginning of the shutdown.
Yep.
So that had to be canceled. So
yeah,
they're all over. I mean, the celebrities are that when they do come to the States, try to fit in as much as they can.
Yes.
And Carl Witzman says, no hugs for me before or after the pandemic. No thanks. Ha ha. That's okay, Carl. It'll just be simply a reach around. Go ahead there, Joey. I'm sorry.
Oh, and oh God, how could I follow? How could I follow that? How could I follow that?
By watching.
Yeah, I know. And yet the actors from the series, I mean, they ain't getting any younger. I mean, you realize that this month marks the 25th anniversary of the passing of John Pertwee, and I think he was 76 years old. And now Tom Baker is going to live to bury us all. But then we know he's not going to come over here to the States. And truth be told, yes, Colin Baker has signed to do Chicago TARDIS. I pray he's in good health. But at the same time, I mean, he never, if I'm right in saying, Dan Harris stated that he never did the cruise because he was always worried about his daughters. What if something happened to one of them and he'd want to get in the next plane and fly out of there? So and of course now the tide is turning, and of course I'm sure his daughters are saying, Dad, don't go. Don't, it's like, do the video thing. That's what you've done before. And that's great. And we have Colin and Silver the same age. They're about 77 years, 78 coming up. Yeah. Yeah.
Just a note, the cruise is back on next April, 2022. Sylvester McCoy, Fraser Hines, they're all going to be on there. Simon Fisher-Becker is going to be on there.
Dan Harris, I knew you were disguised. I knew that accent.
I did the last cruise, and it was amazing. And I'll tell you what the strange thing about it was. Now, this was in December of 19, so it was from the 13th to the 22nd of December, right before the pandemic was really becoming known over here.
Yeah.
But I've been on cruises before, but I've never been on a cruise like this where everywhere you went, there was a hand sanitizer station and there were costumed crew that was squeezing hand sanitizer in your hands before you went into the dining rooms, before you went to the buffet, before you went anywhere.
Yeah.
Tell me that they didn't have an inkling that this was going on already. And nobody, as far as I know, got sick on that ship.
That's good.
I mean, they were fastidious about everybody using hand sanitizer. I assumed, incorrectly or correctly, that it was Legionnaires that they were worried about. So
true. But then again, when one gets to be a certain age, in this case, my mother, and whenever I visited with her, Sunday I go to the Olive Garden with her and my stepdad, and the first thing she pulled out of her pocket was a hand sanitizer thingy, and it's like, son, sweetheart, here, swallow this, you'll be fine.
Nice. Speaking of, I'm not going to say that. I just want to give a couple pictures out there. People have been asking what is my favorite, what I think is the best traveling TARDIS picture out there. But first, I want to show you our friend Leanne Mordor, one of our panelists, well, let me just show you a picture. I just think it's adorable. There.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
What is 13 doing when she's not saving the universe? She's practicing up making frappes. But that was just gorgeous.
Leanne is a sweetheart. I had the honor of getting to know her and her husband and their great family over on the west coast of Florida. And I don't know if the TARDIS is still up there. Last time I saw them, the TARDIS was still in the driveway.
I think it moved to the back patio because after that long, if anybody remembers the story, Leanne and her husband had a TARDIS in their driveway, and it became an HOA, Homeowners Association controversy. It made the international news.
Yes.
That the HOA was trying to take out their TARDIS. Let me get Graham in here. Graham, there are many Whovians with medical issues. It will be an extra concern even after vaccination. Yeah, we want to take care of ourselves and everything. But she and her husband had a TARDIS in their driveway, and I thought the retort was funny because the HOA said only vehicles can be out in your driveway. Yeah, if you think about it.
Yep. That HOA member was not a sci-fi person at all.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the last thing I heard is they moved it to the back, and that's where they were having kids come over and they could play in the TARDIS and things like that. I got to ask her what's going on. But to wrap up the show, all of them are great, but this is the one I remember because it comes in twofold.
Oh yeah. Yes,
I can't beat that. When
no,
Paulie doing a food impersonation because this comes with a bit of a story behind it. I handed the TARDIS over to Peter. It was one of those things where it was professionally done, and Peter looked at me and goes, "What do I do with this?" Like, whatever you want to do, Peter. And boom, that's what came out. That's exactly what came out. And somebody actually made a picture, drew a picture of this. It's inspired. I'll find the picture hopefully later on sometime. I know I've got it somewhere. But they actually drew a picture, I think it's in DeviantArt, of this. And not only that, but they moved the TARDIS closer to his hand, and they actually what was it? Flatliner. They actually had the small Capaldi coming out of the TARDIS below in his hand. So he actually is holding himself as he's leaning out there.
Nice.
Now, the reason why I think this picture, and I haven't shown the other picture yet, I got to clean it up a bit there. Peter, as I'm walking up, and I give him the picture, he takes the picture and everything. I grab the TARDIS and I start walking away, and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm leaving, Peter. I'm done." I'm just like, no. He grabs me, pulls me back in, and he goes, "Take another one." He's telling the photo artist to take another picture, and he goes, "I'm not going to leave without you taking a picture with me." And the people at the photo booth is like, "What the hell is going on over there?" So thanks to Peter Capaldi, I not only have one picture of him holding the traveling TARDIS, but I have a picture with him taking a picture with him. So I got a 2-for-1. Thank you, Peter. That's why I say Peter Capaldi is the Doctor. He's a fan of the fans.
Yes, he never forgot where he came from, and that's why I asked him to write me with this up here. Never forget where you came from. And if you happen to look at the photo, he's sitting there just kicking back with the Doctor Who 10th anniversary special and a number of the Target paperbacks around him. So that shows you that he never forgot where he came from as well. And that's one of the cool photos I have of him. It's for him to do that during his time when he was at the height of his powers. It was very, very sweet and very lovely. Yeah.
We got a few minutes before the end of the show. Joey, since I got you up here, tell us a little bit about the fans. Got a minute. Tell the fans about Geek Radio America and where they can find you.
Well, Geek Radio America is on a hiatus at the moment. Right now, it's a podcast, if you will, on sci-fi radio.com, sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. And if you go to the list of the schedules, I think I'm on the air Friday, twice on Friday. The first one at 6 a.m. Eastern time, and the second broadcast, it repeats, but it's 7 p.m. Eastern time. But go to sci-fi radio.com for that information. I am working on a relaunch and trying to figure out right now what's better, to do it via Twitch TV or have it as streaming, or maybe both. Who knows? But I will next week have the website updated, because finally. It's like Monty Python's Flying Circus. We've the BBC denies that they are not having financial trouble. Mrs. Kelly, who owns the flat where they live, we've just received word the Director General has successfully pawned his watch. So transmissions will continue for the balance of the evening. And now back to the program. So
speaking of back to the program, Dave, tell us a little bit about the rathole.ca/who, where they can find.
Yes. So that specific website has all of my Doctor Who reviews. Right now, we are running a series of miniature painting shows called Slinging Paint. James is currently painting up, because it's topical, Paul McGann's 8th Doctor. So we've got the first 2 parts of that already out, and part 3 will be up on Sunday. There is a link to it at I'm circling it with my cursor, and that doesn't work because you can't see it at that URL, or just look up the rathole.ca on YouTube. Please give me a subscribe as well. Hit the bell, all that fun stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I do want to say one other thing. James was diagnosed with COVID-19 about Christmas.
Oh, geez.
He's still not fully recovered.
Oh.
He's doing these shows, barely able to do these shows. So... yeah.
For all of our love
seriously
for James on there. If anybody can say just a little prayer, just keep James in your thoughts. We're hoping for a speedy recovery for James out there. And I did save the best for last. Hello, Shirley. Tell us a little about the Pandorica restaurant for folks who may not be familiar with it.
How sweet you are. Pandorica restaurant, Doctor Who themed restaurant in Beacon, New York. With just 90 minutes at the most out of New York City. You can take the train from Grand Central. We are right on a train stop, so we're very convenient. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's all under the Pandorica Restaurant. And we have our webpage, which is thepandoricarestaurant.com. All our events and everything that we do is going to be posted on those 3 social sites and our webpage. So feel free to join us when you're in town. Stop on by.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being with us here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. 9 years since we started the Facebook page, and you can see how big it is. The Traveling TARDIS is, where I could safely say, is having a pedicure. So it will be touring around very shortly where everybody can see it. We want to give a big thank you out to our friends at Wizard World. Go ahead and subscribe at facebook.com/Wizard World. For those of you on the Traveling TARDIS site, check out their merch at Wizard World Vault.com. And if you can give us a little bit of a help on this, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS on Facebook, on YouTube, youtube.com, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Help us get up to 2,000 subscribers. And please go ahead and have fun, but be safe out there. We want to thank everybody for joining us. We want to see you in the weeks coming up. We want to see you at all the conventions coming up. Please stay safe. Whatever you need to do, be with your family. And always stick around so you can become part of the